Ladies and gentlemen, listen close because I'll be blunt and brief. Thinking too much about anyone but yourself and your objective is the quickest route to wasted life. You were not born to be a spectator in your own story. You were born to decide, to focus, to build. Every minute spent replaying what someone said, imagining what someone thinks, or waiting for someone else to validate you is time stolen from the one thing you control, your work. Do this now. Choose one dominating purpose, not 5, not a dozen half-baked intentions. 1, when you know exactly what you're after, distractions stop having power. When your purpose is clear, other people's noise becomes background static. You will hear it, choose it, and move on. Understand the cost of overthinking other people. It breeds comparison, drains courage, and slows execution. Comparison is a tax on your energy. It compounds until you can't afford to act. Replace it with measurement, not of other people, but of your results. Ask, did I move the needle today? Yes or no? That's the only question that matters. Focus is a muscle. You strengthen it by doing work that matters repeatedly. Plan your day around the single task that, when completed, advances your purpose more than anything else. Protect that task like your life depends on it, because it does. Turn off needless chatter. Close the tabs that distract. Put your phone out of reach. Make your schedule hostile to interruption. People will criticize. People will doubt. People will be loud. That's a certainty. Accept it, but don't negotiate with it. Use criticism as raw material. Sift the useful, discard the rest, then get back to work. Let your progress be your rebuttal. Results are the only language that silences noise. Build your environment intentionally. Your closest associates set the standard for your daily thinking. If your circle tolerates mediocrity, you will too. If your circle demands excellence, your actions will rise. Seek those who push your limits, not those who validate your excuses. Practice ruthless prioritization. Not everything is important. Not every opinion deserves a vote in how you live. When faced with a choice, ask, which option leads to the outcome I declared when I chose my purpose? If it's not that, then it's a distraction. Persistence wins. There is no replacement for steady, consistent effort. When progress is slow, keep working. When people leave, let them. When doors close, find the window. The person who outlasts uncertainty usually outperforms the one who panics. Finally, act. Thought without action is an illusion of progress. Execution is the bridge between intention and achievement. Plan smart, yes. Think clearly, yes. But always follow thought with work. Make the morning task non-negotiable. Make the evening reflection honest. Measure, adjust, repeat. So stop asking yourself what others will think. Stop replaying conversations. Stop collecting opinions like trophies. Decide what matters, protect your attention, and show up every single day to execute on that one big thing. Look ahead. Focus fiercely. Do the work. Let results do the talking go. Pinpoint one dominating purpose. Clarity kills distraction. Most people never rise because their minds are scattered across 1,000 half-formed ambitions. They chase every shiny thought, every passing desire, every opinion thrown at them, and then they wonder why they feel stuck. But your life changes the very moment you decide that you will no longer live divided. A divided mind cannot produce a powerful life. Power comes from a single direction, a single aim, a single obsession, a single mission that burns so intensely inside you that everything else becomes secondary. When you choose one dominating purpose, you eliminate the confusion that weakens your will. You stop waking up unsure of what to do, where to go, or who to listen to. Instead, your mind becomes a weapon. Your decisions become sharper. Your energy becomes concentrated. You no longer waste time thinking about who approves, who doubts, or who doesn't believe in you, because none of that matters when your purpose becomes the standard by which you judge every thought and every action. Clarity is not just knowing what you want. It is knowing what you refuse to tolerate. When you establish a dominating purpose, you also establish boundaries. You stop entertaining distractions disguised as opportunities. You stop giving emotional energy to people who drain you. You stop saying yes to anything that doesn't move you closer to your mission. This is how powerful people operate. not by doing everything, but by doing the one thing with unstoppable consistency. A clear purpose destroys hesitation. It kills the useless overthinking that keeps you paralyzed. When you know your direction, decisions become easier. You no longer ask, what will they think? You ask, does this move me forward? If the answer is no, you cut it off without guilt. That is the discipline of clarity. That is the mindset of someone who intends to win. And here is the truth most people avoid. When your purpose is small, distractions look big. When your purpose is unclear, other people's opinions carry weight. When your purpose is weak, emotions control your days. But the moment, the exact moment, your purpose becomes strong and specific, distraction loses its power. People's opinions become background noise. You stop overvaluing every thought or action of others because your inner direction is stronger than their external noise. Your dominating purpose must be something worthy of your energy. It must be a target that challenges you, demands G, growth from you, and stretches your limits. It should be a purpose that pulls you out of bed with urgency and sends you to sleep with the satisfaction of movement. It should not be vague. It should not be soft. It should not be something you kind of want. It must be a decision so firm that it becomes the engine of your attitude, your habits, and your identity. Once you lock onto this purpose, everything in your life must align with it. Your habits must support it. Your environment must reinforce it. Your circle must respect it. Your time must serve it. You cannot declare a powerful purpose and then live with weak routines. You cannot demand a focused life and then surround yourself with unfocused people. You cannot claim you want success while giving hours to distractions that do nothing but feed your comfort. Clarity makes you dangerous because it grants you the ability to ignore what doesn't matter. Most people fail not because they lack potential, but because they lack focus. They scatter their attention, divide their strength, and drown themselves in unimportant thoughts. But you, once you decide to commit to one dominating purpose, you rise above all that. You begin to operate with a rare kind of seriousness that others can feel. Your presence becomes different. Your speech becomes direct. Your work becomes intentional. This isn't about being busy. It's about being aligned. A person with clarity can accomplish more in a week than a distracted person accomplishes in a year, because clarity gives you direction, direction gives you momentum, and momentum gives you results. And results, in turn, reinforce your purpose even more. Pinpointing your dominating purpose is not merely step one. It is the foundation of everything. Without it, you drift. With it, you drive. Without it, you hesitate. With it, you execute. Without it, you think too much about the world. Wit. It, you think only about the next move that brings your vision into reality. So decide. Commit. Declare to yourself what your life is going to stand for. Stop scattering your strength. Stop giving attention to what is irrelevant. Stop allowing the world to pull you in every direction. Choose the purpose that sets your soul on fire, and then guard it with your life. Clarity kills distraction. And when distraction dies, your greatness finally has room to live. Value action over analysis. Thinking without doing is theft. That sentence must burn into your mind until it rearranges how you live. Ideas are potential, nothing more. Potential that is not converted into action steals time, steals opportunity, and steals the one resource you cannot recover, life lived in motion. You can sit forever polishing plans, rehearsing outcomes, and refining strategies until they glitter. But glitter does not build anything. Only action creates reality. Understand this. The mind's ability to invent is a gift. But invention without execution is vanity. To think and not act is to rob yourself of the reward you might have earned. It's like planting seeds and refusing to water them because you are still planning the perfect irrigation system. The harvest never comes. Every day you delay, competing forces move, circumstances change, competitors act, the window narrows. Action is the currency of progress. Hoarding thought is bankruptcy. Action sharpens thought. When you move, your ideas face the world and either survive or die. This feedback is priceless. Analysis in isolation creates clay castles of certainty that crumble at the first real test. Action forces reality's honest response. It reveals flaws, exposes opportunities, and refines plans. The person who acts learns faster, adapts quicker, and accumulates real advantage. Stop worshiping the illusion that more deliberation guarantees better outcomes. Often it guarantees nothing but fear dressed as prudence. There is a difference between careful planning and paralysis. Planning prepares, paralysis excuses. The former is a tool, the latter is a trap. Use thinking to prepare a path, then step onto it. Test, adjust, improve, repeat. That is how momentum forms. Momentum is the giant that carries you past obstacles that would otherwise stop you. It is born of repeated imperfect activity, not of endless perfect thought. Consider the law of compound action. Small, persistent deeds accumulate into overwhelming outcomes. 10 minutes of focused work every day compounds into mastery. One phone call moves a project forward. One conversation wins an ally. One step closes the gap between idea and achievement. Yet many wait for the mythical right time, a moment that never arrives because the right time is manufactured by people who act. If you want the moment, create it by acting now. Fear hides behind analysis. The more you dissect, the more you find reasons not to proceed. You'll catalog contingencies until your courage is exhausted. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is action in spite of fear. Those who succeed are not braver in theory, they are braver in practice. They act while fear whispers that it's risky. They accept uncertainty as the cost of growth and move anyway. Measure risk, yes, but measure it with the lens of action. What can I do now that moves me forward? What is the smallest step that yields information? What is the least I can risk to learn the most? This is not reckless, it is intelligent. It transforms fear into fuel and vague plans into tested strategies. Always ask, what can I do this hour that will change tomorrow? Then do it. Action breeds confidence. Each completed task deposits proof into your account of competence. That proof compounds into greater tasks, bolder IDs, EAs, and larger results. Thinking without doing creates a fragile ego that depends on imagined competence. Real confidence is built from executed choices, corrected errors, and incremental wins. Do the work. Earn the right to believe in your plans. Surround yourself with people who prize execution. There are thinkers who will admire your plans and applaud your drafts. Then there are doers who will ask, what did you ship? Align with the latter. Their questions push you to finish. Their standards expose dilatory habits. Your alliance with action-oriented people will drag you forward faster than any solitary self-discipline. Set deadlines for yourself that sting. Public accountability accelerates action. Tell one person, then one group, then the world that you will deliver. Commitments create pressure, the productive pressure that forces movement. If you find yourself delaying, impose immediate, small penalties for inaction. Force your future self to produce by making inaction costly. Be ruthless about your schedule. Time is a jealous master. Give it to action. Block segments each day for decisive work. Protect those blocks like a sanctuary. During them, eliminate distraction and manufacture conditions for doing. The world will not hand you time. You must seize it, allocate it, and defend it. Accept that action is often imperfect. Some moves will fail. Some bets will sour. That's the price of learning. The key is rapid recovery. Analyze briefly, take the lesson, then act again. Repetition trumps perfection every time. Those who wait for certainty will never experience the acceleration of repeated attempts. Finally, make a covenant with yourself. You will be a person of completion. Start less, finish more. Choose tasks that matter and get them across the line. If an idea is not worth executing, kill it quickly. If it is worth executing, do so with ferocity. Let your daily record be a ledger of actions, not unacted intentions. Value action over analysis. Thinking without doing is theft. Steal back your time, your potential, and your destiny by converting ideas into deeds. Move now, adjust as needed, and keep moving. The world rewards a person who delivers. Be that person. Control your circle. Surround yourself with people who elevate focus. This single discipline can change the trajectory of your life faster than talent, faster than intelligence, and faster than ambition alone. Because no matter how strong your intentions are, your environment will either reinforce them or destroy them. You cannot rise in a circle that pulls you down. You cannot stay sharp in a crowd that dulls your edge. And you cannot maintain focus while surrounded by people who live distracted, undisciplined, and directionless lives. Your circle is not just a group of individuals. It is a silent architect shaping your habits, your standards, your beliefs, and your outcomes. Every conversation either pushes you toward your mission or away from it. Every attitude in your environment either fuels your discipline or feeds your excuses. You may think you are immune, but no one escapes the influence of the people they consistently allow into their mental space. Look closely at your circle. Are they aligned with the future you're building, or are they loyal to the comfort you are trying to escape? The people you spend time with will either challenge your mediocrity or justify it. They will either demand your best or accept your worst. They will either inspire your focus or normalize your distractions. You need people who wake something powerful inside you, people whose presence alone raises your standards, people who talk goals, growth, discipline, execution, people who are too busy building their own vision to gossip, complain, or drag others down. Their energy breeds urgency. Their habits create pressure. Their mindset expands yours. When you surround yourself with individuals who live at a higher level, your own level rises automatically. Their pace becomes your pace. Their seriousness becomes your seriousness. Your circle must be intentional, not accidental, not convenient, not familiar. Intentional. You cannot afford to keep relationships that sabotage your focus, no matter how long you've known them or how comfortable their presence feels. Comfort is not the measure. Alignment is. Your future demands allies, not anchors. It demands partners in discipline, not partners in distraction. Protect your environment like it is a vault holding your destiny, because it is. Guard your mind from those who waste time, feed drama, and operate without direction. Their habits will become your habits if you stay long enough. Your mind adapts to the atmosphere. It breathes. If you breathe seriousness, you become serious. If you breathe laziness, you become lazy. If you breathe ambition, you become ambitious. Raise your standards for who earns access to your attention. Not everyone deserves a seat at your table. Not everyone has earned the right to influence your decisions, your energy, or your mindset. You cannot carry unfocused people while trying to build a focused life. Master this: love people, but limit access. Care for people, but control distance. You don't need to cut everyone off. You need to cut off the influence of those who drain your focus. Seek out individuals who challenge you to think bigger, act faster, and stay consistent. These are the voices you want near you. Voices that call you out when you're slacking. Voices that remind you of your purpose when you drift. Voices that speak possibility when fear shows up. Voices that refuse to let you settle for average. Their belief in their own potential strengthens your belief in yours. And remember this: focused people are selective. They don't allow just anyone into their inner circle. They choose associates who embody discipline. They partner with people who take action. They surround themselves with minds that respect growth, not comfort. You must become equally selective. If someone's presence weakens your focus, that presence must be limited. If someone's habits contradict your mission, that connection must be reconsidered. When you intentionally shape your circle, your progress accelerates. You start moving with confidence, clarity, and consistency. Your environment becomes a source of motivation instead of distraction. You stop wasting time on people who don't value time. You stop engaging in conversations that don't build anything. You stop carrying emotional weight that doesn't belong to you. Instead, your circle becomes a force multiplier, a system that reinforces your growth. Understand this truth: greatness is rarely built alone, but it is always built with the right people. The wrong people fragment your focus. The right people fortify it. The wrong people slow your pace. The right people increase it. The wrong people question your vision. The right people sharpen it. Surround yourself with individuals who elevate you, and you will rise automatically. Surround yourself with individuals who distract you, and you will fall slowly but predictably. Your circle is either your greatest advantage or your quiet downfall. Control your circle with intention, precision, and loyalty to your future. Choose growth over comfort. Choose discipline over distraction. Choose allies over anchors, because the moment your circle rises, your entire life rises with it. Replace obsession over others with obsession over your plan. This is the shift that separates those who wander from those who rise. Most people waste their strength watching, comparing, envying, reacting, and analyzing the lives of others, and then act surprised when their own life stands still. Obsession is powerful energy, but when it's directed outward, it becomes poison. When it's directed inward toward your mission, it becomes fuel. The moment you reclaim that energy and pour it into your purpose, your progress becomes unstoppable. You cannot build your future while staring at someone else's. You cannot grow your vision while tracking someone else's wins, losses, opinions, or movements. Every second you spend thinking about what another person is doing is a second stolen from your destiny. Understand this truth. The enemy of your progress is not the competition. It's your divided focus. You're not losing because you lack potential. You're losing because you've been busy watching instead of building. Turn that obsession inward. Pour it into your plan with intensity. Let your mission become the thing that dominates your mind when you wake up, and the thing that lingers in your thoughts when you go to sleep. When your plan becomes your obsession, distractions lose their power. Gossip loses its appeal. Comparison becomes irrelevant. Other people's pace, progress, or opinions no longer affect your direction. Your plan needs your full attention, not your leftover attention, not your fragmented attention, not whatever energy remains after you've exhausted yourself worrying about others. Your purpose deserves the best of you. Your goals deserve the strongest version of your mindset. When you shift your obsession inward, clarity expands, creativity expands, discipline expands. You start seeing opportunities you missed because your eyes were pointed toward everyone else's path instead of your own. People who obsess over others live in reaction. People who obsess over their plan live in creation. One group waits for something to happen, the other make. Things happen. One group is controlled by external noise, the other is driven by internal fire. Choose which person you will be. Make your plan so compelling, so meaningful, so challenging that it commands your focus. Your plan should be something that excites you, stretches you, terrifies you a little, and pushes you a lot. Something that requires your absolute best. When your mission is big enough, you don't need motivation to stay focused. The mission itself becomes the motivation. And remember, your plan is not a fantasy, it is a blueprint. It is not something you merely think about. It is something you execute. But execution only becomes powerful when obsession fuels it. You must think about your plan until you begin moving automatically, habitually, and consistently. Until your actions align with your vision without hesitation, busyness with others amassed for procrastination. When you're deeply focused on your plan, you won't have time to worry about who supports you, who doubts you, who talks about you, or who is ahead of you. That mental space becomes too valuable for nonsense. Your energy becomes too precious for drama. Your attention becomes too sharp for noise. Even your emotional life becomes clearer. You stop seeking validation from people whose approval adds nothing to your destiny. You stop chasing people who don't respect your growth. You stop depending on others for direction because your plan gives you direction. This is where true strength is born, when your inner compass becomes stronger than the world around you. Obsess over your plan until your habits transform, until your discipline becomes predictable, until your consistency becomes unshakable, until your vision becomes something you can almost touch. When your plan consumes your attention, effort follows. When effort follows, progress compounds. And when progress compounds, ubico, me unstoppable. This is how champions are built, not by watching others, but by watching their own steps relentlessly. Not by competing with the world, but by competing with yesterday's version of themselves. Not by obsessing over people, but by obsessing over purpose. Every minute spent studying someone else's journey is a minute stolen from mastering your own. You owe yourself better than divided ambition. You owe your future more than borrowed focus. You owe your dreams a level of obsession that leaves no room for comparison. Replace obsession over others with obsession over your plan, and you will feel your life shift. Your pace will increase. Your confidence will grow. Your results will multiply, and the world will notice, not because you watched it, but because you worked while it watched you. Focus on your plan with relentless obsession. That is how you rise. Train persistence daily. Small, consistent steps beat occasional genius. This truth is the backbone of every great achievement ever recorded. Talent may spark attention, but persistence builds empires. Genius may shine for a moment, but consistency shines for a lifetime. The world is full of gifted people who never finished anything, because brilliance without discipline collapses. But even the simplest person, armed with persistence, can rise above the sharpest mind that refuses to stay the course. Persistence is not a trait you are born with, it is a muscle you train. Every day you show up, especially when it's inconvenient, uncomfortable, or unimpressive, you strengthen that muscle. When you take a step forward, even on days when motivation is absent, you prove to yourself that you are unstoppable. That proof compounds. It becomes a force within you. And once persistence becomes your identity, progress becomes inevitable. Small, consistent steps are powerful because they never stop building. They accumulate quietly, steadily, and relentlessly. Like water carving stone, daily effort creates results that force the world to notice. Most people swing hard once, then rest for months. They go all in for a day, then go missing for weeks. That kind of effort feels dramatic, but it will never outperform the person who moves steadily, daily, uncompromisingly toward their mission. Your future does not depend on the intensity of your bursts. It depends on the stubbornness of your repetition. A single day of genius can't outperform a year of discipline. A moment of brilliance cannot beat a lifetime of consistency. When you understand this, you stop chasing perfect days and start honoring disciplined days. You stop trying to be impressive and start trying to be consistent. Daily persistence trains your mind to move through resistance instead of negotiating with it. You stop asking, do I feel like it? And start asking, what is my next step? That shift alone will change your life. Feelings are unreliable. Persistence does not depend on emotion, inspiration, or external validation. It depends only on your decision to keep moving. And yes, there will be days when progress feels invisible. Days when the work feels repetitive. Days when you wonder if anything is actually moving. This is where most people quit. They mistake slow progress for no progress. But persistence knows better. The most important changes happen beneath the surface long before results are visible. Seeds grow in silence. Muscles grow in strain. Character grows in repetition. Persistence ensures that you stay long enough to see the miracle. Train persistence daily by setting micro goals you cannot excuse your way out of. These aren't massive tasks. They are small, non-negotiable steps that reinforce discipline. 10 minutes of practice, 1 page written, 1 call made, 1 task completed. Small actions that keep the engine running. Because once the engine stays running, momentum forms. And momentum is the greatest advantage any human can possess. Most people underestimate the power of small steps because they want instant transformation. They want big wins, fast outcomes, dramatic leaps. But transformation is not created in explosions. It is built in quiet mornings, repeated tasks, disciplined routines, and the determination to endure the boring parts of greatness. Occasional genius might turn heads, but daily persistence turns dreams into reality. Persistence also trains your mind to push through discomfort. Greatness is not comfortable. Growth is not smooth. Elevation is not easy. But the person who trains persistence becomes resilient to discomfort. They do not break when pressure arrives. They adapt. They do not quit when challenges appear. They endure. They do not retreat when the path gets hard. They push forward. With persistence, difficulty becomes a signal to continue, not a reason to stop. Your circle, your habits, your environment, all influence your persistence. Surround yourself with people who respect discipline, not those who mock it. Build routines that protect your mission. Create an environment where consistency becomes natural. When your surroundings support your persistence, success becomes a pattern instead of an accident. Understand this: the world remembers finishers, not starters. Many people begin with excitement, few continue with discipline. The finish line belongs to those who endure, not those who burst. When you make persistence your daily training, you join the small group of people who cannot be outworked, outlasted, or outrun, no matter how talented the competition is. Train persistence daily until it becomes automatic, until consistency becomes part of your identity, until you no longer rely on motivation to move. Until your habits carry you through days your emotions cannot. When you do this, you develop a kind of quiet power that no one can take from you. Small, consistent steps beat occasional genius every time, because persistence builds what genius merely imagines. Persistence finishes what talent never starts. Persistence transforms ordinary into extraordinary. Train it daily. Live it relentlessly. And watch your life change because you kept going when others stopped. Turn criticism into data, not identity. Hear that and let it settle. Criticism is information, not a sentence handed down about who you are. Too many people accept other people's assessments as permanent labels, folding every negative word into the fabric of their self-image until their spirit is stitched with doubt. That is a choice, and a dangerous one. You must refuse it. Convert critique into raw material you can analyze, learn from, and use to improve. Treat it like a map of where you might trip, not a verdict on your worth. When someone criticizes you, don't react emotionally, register. Pause and gather the facts. What specifically did they point out? Is it consistent with other feedback you've received? Is there a pattern? If the same complaint appears from multiple sources, that's valuable data. If it's a lone emotional outburst, it may be noise. Either way, catalog the content without accepting the tone. Separate the signal from the static. That discipline alone will save you from adopting shame as a default operating system. Remember that criticism often reveals the critic's frame of reference more than it reveals yours. People critique from their limits, biases, and fears. Some will attack because they're threatened. Others will advise because they care. Your job is not to decode their psychology. It's to extract useful, objective points. Ask, what can I learn here that helps me perform better? Fewer mistakes, or see my blind spots. If nothing useful is present, discard it. If something useful exists, incorporate it and move forward. Turn criticism into an experiment. Treat every piece of feedback as a hypothesis. If I adjust this behavior or modify this method, then outcome X should improve. Design a small test, implement it, measure results, and analyze. This keeps you in control. It converts vulnerability into agency. It transforms the emotional sting of critique into a systematic process that yields results. Data demands action. Identity demands surrender. Track criticism like you track metrics. Create a simple log, source, content, context, what you did about it, and the outcome. Over time, you'll have a data set of external observations and internal responses. Patterns will emerge. Blind spots will shrink. Your growth will become measurable. What used to feel personal and unpredictable becomes predictable and manageable. You no longer feel at the mercy of someone else's comment because you have evidence showing whether change matters. Guard against two common errors. First, the error of assimilation, absorbing every negative remark as truth. Second, the error of dismissal, rejecting all critique out of pride. Both are traps. The skill you must develop is discernment. Build a filter that evaluates criticism on usefulness and reliability. Consider the source. Does this person understand the domain? Are they invested in your success or just echoing negativity? Is their feedback actionable? Only then decide whether to integrate it. Use criticism to fuel improvement, not to fuel identity. When you act on feedback and see measurable improvement, you gain confidence rooted in competence rather than in external validation. That's crucial. Confidence that shines because you fix things is far sturdier than confidence that comes from applause. Let your responses create proof. Let your results be the loudest argument you ever make. Learn to thank the giver when criticism is useful. Gratitude rewires the encounter from confrontation to collaboration. It doesn't mean you agree with everything. It means you acknowledge useful input. A simple thanks. I'll test that and let you know what changes, disarms antagonism, and keeps you professional. Even if the critique is poorly delivered, your composed response preserves your focus and signals that you are data-driven, not drama-driven. Cultivate a circle that gives honest, constructive feedback. Random jabs from bystanders are not helpful. Seek out mentors, peers, and allies who know your work and care about your growth. They'll provide critique framed as opportunities. They'll hit the hard points with the purpose of helping, not hurting. When you build a feedback loop with trustworthy people, criticism becomes predictable and designed, a tool you can rely on rather than a hazard to avoid. Protect your identity fiercely. Decide on your core values and your definition of who you are, independent of public opinion. Your identity should be rooted in your commitments, what you stand for, what you refuse to compromise, and the standards you hold yourself to. Let criticism test your methods, not your essence. Your values remain intact while your technique evolves. Finally, remember that some of the most influential individuals were once the recipients of harsh critique. They survived not by denying criticism, but by converting it into relentless improvement. The difference between someone who folds and someone who flourishes is simple. One internalizes judgment, the other analyzes it. One allows words to become a shackle, the other allows those same words to become a chisel. Turn criticism into data, not identity. Make feedback a system, not a sentence. Measure, test, act, and repeat. Let results be your language. When criticism knocks, answer with curiosity, not fear. That discipline will change how you learn, how you lead, and how you live. Guard your mental time like currency. Spend it on what builds. Your mind is the most valuable real estate you possess, and every thought that enters it is either an investment or a debt. Most people treat their mental time like it's limitless, handing it out freely to distractions, drama, negativity, gossip, and pointless noise. Then they wonder why their ambition feels drained and their purpose feels distant. You must learn to treat your mental focus like a millionaire treats money, with precision, intention, and absolute protection. Every minute of mental attention shapes your future. Where your mind goes, your life follows. If you waste your mental time feeding worry, replaying useless conversations, or indulging in people who offer nothing but chaos, don't be surprised when your progress slows to a crawl. Your mind cannot produce great results while being fed garbage. You must become ruthless about what enters your mental space. When you guard your mental time, you stop letting everyone and everything interrupt your focus. You stop attaching emotional value to things that don't grow you. You stop giving attention to problems that don't belong to you. You stop investing thought into people who aren't invested in themselves. You start living with intentionality, choosing what deserves space in your mind and what must be shut out immediately. The truth is simple. What you repeatedly think about becomes the blueprint of your actions. If you fill your mental time with distractions, you become distracted. If you fill it with discipline, you become disciplined. If you fill it with purpose, you become purposeful. Your mental input is the architect of your outcomes. Guard it with the seriousness of someone who knows their future depends on it. Start by identifying what drains your mental time without giving anything back. Unnecessary social scrolling, arguments that lead nowhere, overthinking scenarios that hold no value, worrying about opinions that don't matter, entertaining negativity from people who refuse to grow. These are mental thieves, silent, persistent, and destructive. Once you spot them, cut them off. You owe your future more than wasted thought. Then, invest your mental currency into what builds you. Focus on solutions, not problems. Focus on progress, not comparison. Focus on your mission, not the noise around you. Use your mental time to visualize goals, plan strategies, strengthen discipline, study greatness, and reflect on what matters. These investments pay compound interest. They build clarity, confidence, creativity, and momentum. Guarding your mental time also means controlling your emotional exposure. Not everyone deserves access to your inner energy. Some people drain you simply by existing too close. Some conversations are too expensive to entertain. Protect your energy by setting boundaries. Distance yourself from individuals who feed chaos, thrive on negativity, or distract you from your direction. Your mental time is too precious to be spent on people who add nothing to your growth. And remember, protecting your mental time is not selfish. It is necessary. You cannot build anything significant with a tired, scattered, unfocused mind. You must protect your peace with the same intensity you protect your physical possessions. You must treat your attention like gold, rare, costly, and limited. Train yourself to stop reacting instantly to everything. Not every message needs a reply. Not every situation needs your involvement. Not every thought deserves to become a concern. Pause before allowing anything to enter your mental space. Ask, will is build me or will it drain me? If it drains you, shut it out. If it builds you, let it in. Make mental discipline a daily habit. Start your mornings with controlled input. Not chaos, not noise, not random distraction. Begin with purpose. Set clear intentions. Spend time thinking about your goals, your direction, your next steps. Prime your mind to operate at its highest level. When your mental start is strong, your entire day becomes stronger. Throughout the day, audit your thoughts. Notice when your mind drifts into useless territory, pull it back, recenter, redirect. That skill alone, catching mental leaks and sealing them, will elevate your focus faster than any external motivation. And at night, reflect. Identify where you spent your mental time and whether it pushed you forward or held you back. Reflection is the accountant of the mind. It tells you where you invested wisely and where you wasted energy. Use that insight to refine tomorrow. Guard your mental time like currency because it is currency, the highest kind. When you spend it on what builds, you rise. When you spend it on what drains, you fall. The strongest people are not the smartest or the luckiest. They are the most focused. They protect their mental time fiercely and invest it deliberately. Do the same. Guard it, value it, direct it. Spend it only where growth is guaranteed, because your mind is the bank that funds your future. And the way you spend it determines the life you create. Let your habits carry the weight when your motivation can't. Automation is the quiet force that separates winners from wanderers. When your life is built on disciplined routines, you don't need to negotiate with your emotions, your mood, or your excuses. Habits become the invisible machinery that pushes you forward even on the days you don't feel like moving. The ones who rise aren't the ones who rely on burrs. TS of inspiration. They rely on systems that execute whether or not the mind is tired, distracted, or unmotivated. If you truly want to break limits, you must build habits that work harder than your feelings ever will. Automating habits isn't about becoming robotic. It's about freeing your mind from the noise of unnecessary decisions. When every small action, waking up early, reading, training, planning, learning, building, becomes a natural part of your flow, you gain a kind of mental dominance no outsider can disrupt. Success becomes predictable. Progress becomes consistent. Focus becomes automatic. Most people fail not because they lack ability, but because they waste their mental energy deciding whether to do what they already know they must. You eliminate this weakness the moment you lock your routines into place. Habits become your silent workers. They clock in when fatigue tries to convince you otherwise. They push you through the moments when your confidence wavers. They carry you through every dull, repetitive layer of growth that the undisciplined mind runs from. This is the hidden truth. Breakthroughs are rarely dramatic. They're the consequence of unglamorous, repeated actions done with precision. When your habits run deep enough, your future becomes inevitable, not accidental. To automate habits, you begin with identity. Don't say you want to succeed. Decide you are a builder, a finisher, a person of discipline. Once identity shifts, behavior follows. You no longer act out of motivation, you act because your nature demands it. And the more you act, the more your habits engrave themselves into the core of who you are. Every repetition is a vote for the person you intend to become. Every consistent action becomes a silent signature of your commitment. Your environment must also support your habits. You can't expect discipline in a space built for distraction. Clear the clutter, physically, mentally, socially. Build surroundings that nudge you toward the right actions. When your tools are ready, your workspace clean, your time protected, and your energy directed, your habits will face less resistance. The simpler it is to begin, the harder it becomes to drift. Make the right actions effortless and the wrong actions inconvenient. This alone can change everything. Automation also means removing decision fatigue. Pre-plan your days, structure your time, design routines that trigger the next step without debate. Winners don't wake up asking, what should I do today? Their system's already decided. Their calendar already speaks. Their habits already know the next move. This eliminates hesitation, the silent killer of ambition. When each action flows into the next, momentum becomes your ally. Momentum will always outperform motivation. There will come days when emotion tries to sabotage your discipline. But when your habits are hardwired, emotion loses its influence. You take the step anyway. You finish the task anyway. You honor the commitment anyway. That anyway is the birthplace of transformation. Eventually, your mind realizes it's no longer in control of your actions. Your habits are. And that's when success becomes non-negotiable. The greatest advantage of automated habits is that they compound. A single strong routine, and repeated consistently, produces exponential returns. 10 minutes of learning a day becomes mastery over time. Daily exercise becomes strength and resilience. Consistent planning becomes clarity. Regular execution becomes confidence. Small behaviors eventually create massive outcomes, but only if they run without interruption. Understand this. Discipline is not a moment. It's a system. Habits are not chores. They're investments. And automation is not rigidity. It's liberation. When your habits take over, you become unstoppable because you are no longer battling yourself. Your energy is no longer wasted on doubt, delay, or distraction. Instead, it is poured directly into the work that builds your future. Automate the habits that matter most. Let them carry the weight. Let them shape your days. Let them anchor your ambition. Because when your habits do the heavy lifting, success stops being a dream and becomes the only outcome possible, thought for a couple of seconds. Measure progress relentlessly, course correct quickly. Make those words your operating system. Too many people drift under the illusion of motion. They're busy, they're active, they're hopeful, but they aren't measuring whether any of it actually moves the needle. Progress without measurement is an opinion. Measurement converts opinion into truth. It tells you what's working, what's failing, and where your next move must land. If you want results, you must become obsessed with feedback, metrics, and brutal honesty about outcome versus effort. Start by defining what progress looks like for your mission. Vague goals produce vague lives. Translate your aim into clear, measurable indicators. Don't settle for feeling productive. Insist on evidence. Break big goals into weekly and daily markers that can be verified. Did revenue increase? Did you ship a feature? Did you create content that reached an audience? Numbers, concrete deliverables, milestones, these are your truth tellers. When you know exactly what to measure, you remove guesswork from your decisions. Track everything that matters and ignore the rest. It's tempting to collect vanity metrics, likes, impressions, applause, that make you feel good but don't change your bottom line. Separate noise from signal. Ask, which metric actually predicts the outcome I want? The answer becomes your North Star. Focus your attention there and make every action echo, untable to that metric. When your daily activity is tethered to a meaningful indicator, decisions become simpler and momentum becomes inevitable. Make measurement habitual. Build a system for recording progress daily. A short log, a scoreboard, a simple dashboard, whatever keeps you honest. Consistency in tracking produces patterns you would never notice otherwise. Patterns reveal the leverage points, the small changes that create big effects. Without daily measurement, you're left to intuition and hope. With it, you have data and direction, but measurement alone is not enough. The second part of the equation is speed. Course correct quickly. Data that sits idle is wasted. When a metric shows decline, react. When a tactic stalls, change it. Slow adjustment is the death of momentum. The world moves faster than your comfort. Winners see a trend and act immediately. They run experiments, they tweak, they iterate, They don't wait for perfect information. They act on the best information available and then refine. Speed trumps endless certainty. Adopt an experimental mindset. Treat every initiative as a hypothesis. If we do X, then Y should happen. Set short time-box tests with clear success criteria. Run the test, measure results, and either scale what works or kill what doesn't. This approach turns risk into learning and learning into advantage. It prevents you from pouring resources into approaches that look promising in theory but fail in practice. Be ruthless about cutting losses. Many projects die not because they were poor ideas, but because their owners were too sentimental to stop them. Measurement exposes lost causes early, and you must be willing to terminate them. Use clear thresholds. If a test fails to move the key metric by a set percentage within a set time, end it. Emotional attachment is a liability. Data is your liberator. Create regular review reto. ALS. A weekly review and a monthly retrospective are non-negotiable. In the weekly review, look at the numbers, identify obstacles, and plan the next focused actions. In the monthly retrospective, examine trends, reassess priorities, and realign resources to the highest leverage areas. These rituals are your steering mechanism. They keep you from drifting and force disciplined adjustment. Don't confuse activity